Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blenderhead, Blender HD. If you want to follow me there on Twitter, and it's Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. It's hump day. You ready to hump the hump? I don't know. Are you? Are you in the YouTube chat? If you're in the YouTube chat, feel free to give me a thumbs up. Give me some thumbs on your way in the door. It's a little bit quiet in there. I can see how Apocalypse. There you go. We got some people in there in the YouTube chat. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. We got a 10 game slate later tonight. So there'll be Grinders Live. There'll be Crunch Time for premium members. There'll be a ton of stuff. Yesterday highlights why we don't like go over like the current slate of that day at 11 o'clock in the morning. Okay, right? It highlights that when people come in. Okay, what do you like for today? It's like, well, today is 8 hours from now, and who has no idea what's going to go on. So what happened yesterday? Yeah, we came on this show. It's like, okay, what's going on? I don't know, right? We knew Ingram was going to be out. Okay, that's likely, right? We had some like doubtful people. Is De'Aaron Fox going to play? I don't know. That's questionable, right? Stuff like that. And then the Pelicans just in the middle of the afternoon just started dropping like flies, right? Like 1:30 Eastern. Right, because we know Ingram was probably not going to play. And then we got, Devontae Graham isn't going to play. Okay. Josh Hart isn't going to play. Jonas Valanciunas isn't going to play. Their entire starting lineup isn't going to play. They're literally, their entire starting lineup ain't playing. Right? So that opened up like Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jose Alvarado and Guillermo Hernan-Gomez. Like, would we have mentioned that at 11 a.m.? No. Why would you have to mention Jackson Hayes and Willie Hernan-Gomez with Valanciunas is it, right? Why do you have to mention what not Nickeil Alexander-Walker? Well, Graham's there and Hart's there, right? What do we have to Jose Alvarado? When is he going to be a play? Well, that's what happens in the NBA. Okay, so we got that. So it's like, okay, Pelicans chalk, right? They're playing like a 9-man rotation with a bunch of like guys that are like 4K, 3K. I think Herbert Jones was the most expensive player. No, Hernan-Gomez was at 4,700. I think he was the most expensive player on the Pelicans. And then we got news about 2 or 3 hours later. Fred VanVleet, he ain't gonna play. Okay, Fred VanVleet's out. It's like okay, and then Scotty Barnes, like 15 minutes before lock, he's not in. It's like, well, what the hell's going on now? The Raptors are down to like 8 players. And like 2 or 3 of them are like G Leaguers. So it's like, okay, here's all the Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby, Chris Boucher and Precious Achiuwa. Like that, everyone has to play. Gary Trent. And they're all going to play like 40 minutes. So who else do they have? The Raptors don't have anyone else. And they run very tight rotations as it is. So like, would we have known that? It's like Siakam was not that was projected fairly well earlier in the day, and now he was just a smash at that point. So essentially, it was Pelicans and Toronto. Then you still got the Spurs sitting. It's a 9-game slate. It's like we're only focused on 2 teams, but you should be focused on 2 teams. 2 teams are playing on extremely short rotations with guys that are either underpriced or vastly underpriced. So you can see here, and they all hit. They all hit. Like compared to the ownership versus the top 1% in the contest we could see in results DB, very chalky, right? Other than like Murray didn't make it to most lineups, but look, you got Gary Trent. Take a look at the top 1% of lineups. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was 100%. So you got Walker, Hernan-Gomez, Alvarado, 1, 2, and 3. The next are Siakam, Boucher, Anunoby, and Trent. And then Harden's thrown in there also. Then you got Edwards and Embiid and Harris. Herbert Jones is down there a little bit. Terrence Mann, Precious Achiuwa. Cade Cunningham, obviously, he had 69 points. But you didn't even need him. Like Jokic had 71 points, and he actually appeared in less lineups in the top 1%. Right? Pirtle had a pretty good game. Would have been a much better game. I had a bunch of Pirtle and Eric Gordon. Those Rockets, Spurs type lineups, they didn't make them because it was a blowout by the 4th quarter. You can see here, it's like if you didn't play some combination of a majority of your lineups having Pelicans and Raptors in it, you did something wrong. Did you have to play 3 and 3? You'd have to play a ton of no. But if you were sitting there yesterday going, well, I'm not going to play any Pelicans, I'm not going to play any Raptors, then you screwed up. I mean, you were giving up 30 points in projection to not do so. I don't know how you would have. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. I'm just do this, but do this. If you played a lineup just the optimal based on our 843 last night projections, you would have gotten 1, 2. You'd gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 Raptors, 2 Pelicans. Or you could have gotten 3 Raptors, 3 Pelicans, six players in your lineup. We're going to be from either of those 2 teams. So let's say we take them out. Okay. So let's do a thought experiment. It's not even a thought experiment. We're actually doing it. Right. So the fantasy points is 307.67 as the quote optimal. So let's take those teams out. So let's take out the Pelicans. Let's take out the Raptors. So we're just going to X them out, right? Go down the line. So if you didn't play any of them in a lineup, 307.67, 283.41. If you played a lineup with none of those players, you're giving up 20, about 25 points in projection, 24, 25 points. So if you were building a lineup like I'm just going to be cute and not play either of those teams, I don't know how you do that. Does it mean you had to play all of it? No, of course not. We're just saying in general. So let's go back. Let's add these guys back in. Run something else here. So I'm going to add these guys all back in. Right. Also, what happened, Justin Champagny or whatever, he got ejected, right? PJ Washington got ejected. So they have even less players. Right. They're sitting there with Delano Banton, Malachi Flynn, and Yuta Watanabe. Well, what the hell are they going to do? Not much. Let's see. Put these all back on. Do I got them all? Okay. Right. Alex Santi said, I went 2 Pels and 2 Raptors with LeBron and Deontay instead of Harden. I'm assuming that's FanDuel. I don't know what the pricing was on FanDuel. All I saw, from the looks on Twitter, apparently there was humongous trains on FanDuel. So obviously the FanDuel pricing is softer. So you don't necessarily have to play like all of the cheap guys. But what I did before the show, just like I did yesterday, is I put in the actual ownership. So I played 50 lineups yesterday. So you can see my lineups here, right? So I played a ton of NAW, Harden, Siakam, Trent, Willie Hernangomez, Alvarado, Keldon Johnson, Boucher, Embiid. I played a bunch of Satoransky. He was only 3% owned. Well, he only scored 8 points. Right, so I played a ton of these. I had 7 lineups with Patrick Beverley that turned into Jalen Noel. Because what else am I going to do? He's a $4,300 guard, and there's no wiggle room in my lineups. So you take a look at some of my top line. I mean, like what else are they going to look like? 2 Pels, 3 Pels, 3 Raptors. 3 Pels, 3 Raptors. 3 Pels, 2 Raptors. 2 Pels, 3 Raptors. I mean, like all that. Even if you go scroll all the way down, right? You get 2 Raptors, 2 Pelicans. I mean, like no matter where you go, you're gonna find them the 3 and 2 because they projected so well for their prices. You can't. I mean, take a look at the RGV salary adjusted plus minus. You got Pelican, Raptor, right? You got Pelican, Raptor. Right, all the way up. They're all positive. But I want to see now, based on inserting the ownership, because like I got Harden a little bit wrong. I under projected Harden ownership by a little bit. Anyone else I got wrong? I under Chris Boucher. I under some of the I got a little bit under projected Trent and Boucher. Not by that much. Like Boucher, I had it like 28 and he came in at 36. Trent, I had 12 and he came in at 18. OG, I got right. Just looking down this list. Like any massively incorrect ownership. Sadaransky, I thought would be higher. I mean, who else is going to play off the bat? I mean, someone has to. I mean, they don't have anyone there. So just looking down, right? Garrett Temple got that ownership, right? I had like Temple at 14 and Sadaransky at like 8. Okay, so I'm now going to run a diversified set of lineups, right? Max total lineup ownership around 200. Because that's what around the range that, the top end of the range that I was working with. And let's build 150 from 3 unique players. Let's see what comes up. Everything else good. I don't have any exposures here. Okay, no, I got max. Got 10s over here for a build I was doing. Okay, get rid of that, and now let's run it. So I want to see what that set of lineups does it look that dramatically different than the set that I was making. I could look in the results DB, and I could start taking a look at people's exposures and stuff like that. Right? We could go here. Right? Take out that. Start putting in. Did Brick play? No. I got caps lock on. Petty theft. And petty theft. Put in Squirrel Patrol. We got Squirrel Patrol in there. JBC. Who else? Ishboo. Who else should we be looking at? We can see, look across the board. Like, I mean, Whistles actually had the least amount of NAW. Who else should we be taking a look at? Have a Chipotle. Why not? Right, 94% gnaw. How about Yuta? 100% not. Like it was hard not to. So he had a salary adjusted plus minus of 12 or 13. So Utica, okay, that's good. That's good enough. So we take a look at this, like compared to the field. Like, no, yeah, well, obviously. Okay. And I had plenty of no. Siakam, plenty of Siakam. Alvarado, right? Some people went up and down a little. Harden. I had so much Harden. I had a lot of Boucher. I had a lot of Anunoby. I was a bit lighter on Murray. I had plenty of Willie Hurd and Gomez. I had some Herb Jones. I was way under on Garrett Temple. So the Colts and Hishbu and Chipotle Addict, they had a bunch of Temple, but a bunch of people had less. Squirrel Patrol, ship my money, petty theft. I was under on Jokic. I was over on Trent. I was getting too much Trent. That seems to be fairly consistent. Pirtle, Achua. They were kind of leaving out Patty Mills. So if you played Patty Mills at 15% ownership, that may have been a little bit of a mistake. Derek White, plenty of Derek White. I guess Halliburton. I think Halliburton was it was like a sacrifice from all the Raptors guys. So it's like, why are you paying $7,400 for Halliburton? He was fine with the Fox in, but of course they got blown out. Terrence Davis, Keldon Johnson. Like, I'm just looking at this, Terrence, man. Is there anything that just stands out of like someone have a lot more or a lot less of someone that I was playing? No, not that much. I'm assuming this Noel ownership is a lot of Beverly being switched out. Okay. Nothing dramatic. No, nothing. Let's go back to okay. So I built 150 lineups, 3 uniques just to get just as diverse a set as possible and see what would have changed. Okay. Well, I probably would have gotten a little bit more man, right? White. I would have gotten more Halliburton, really, at that had his ownership. So anyone that I had a lot of, that turns out to be a little of. Hernan Gomez, right? Okay, so Hernan Gomez would have came in lower. Achua would have came in lower. I would have ended up with more Hayes than Hernan Gomez instead of the other way around. I would have ended up with more PJ Washington, less Gary Trent at 18%, more Jokic than I had. So actually, it probably would have ended, result-wise, it actually would have ended up probably a little bit worse. Probably a little bit worse because I would have had more Halliburton than I had, even though I had like 20%. I would have had more Gordon. So would have had plenty of Siakam. I would have had more Boucher, I guess, to fill in that position, and way more Embiid, even though I did have plenty of Embiid. All right, if we take a look, I mean, like 15 out of 50. Like Keldon Johnson, where did he go? Where did he go in this run? Keldon Johnson just disappear in this 150 that I ran? 19%. Okay, a little bit less. So basically, the biggest differences would be the center position for the Pels. And getting more like Derek White and basically non-Pels, non-Raptors, like Derek White, Halliburton, Embiid, Terrence Mann, those types of guys, Eric Gordon, which obviously results-wise would have turned out worse. But where I'm not trying to review my results. I'm trying to review my decisions. Would I have had more or less had I known these players would be X owned? Lineups don't look that dramatically different, other than just I'm playing more. Right, I have less like 2, 3, like I have less Pelicans and Raptors in my lineups at the same time. So like the opposite. Instead of here's one with 2 and 2. Here's one with 2 and 2. 1 and 2. 2 and 2. Like, but you saw in my original set, I'd line up set with 3 and 3, 2 and 3, 3 and 1. Like all over the place. I mean, I still lost money yesterday, but it's GPP. That's what happens. I had lineups that had pretty good scores, right? But you need like 400 to win. So getting a whole bunch of lineups, 320 to 350, yay, you cash, woohoo! Like min cash or 3x or something. That's not going to make up. You're playing to win. You're playing to win. MJC says should have went Cade instead of Halliburton. No, why? Why should you have? I take a look at Cade Cunningham's projection. Right? You take a look at Cade Cunningham's projection versus Halliburton. If I put him in my pool. Where's Sacramento? I mean, how do you consider that? The guy projected for 6 raw points higher. Now Halliburton obviously was 14% owned, and Cade Cunningham was 2% owned. Was that 12-point difference worth 6 points in projection? Probably not. The problem with Halliburton was not Halliburton. The problem is the Kings got blown out. And Cade Cunningham put up a huge game. You can't go by, well, what happened yesterday? It's like, well, based on the numbers, in a vacuum, regardless of what your lineup is. I mean, not considering the rest of your lineup, you obviously play Halliburton over Cade Cunningham. I mean, it's obvious. So there's nothing you could do for it. There's nothing you could do. I should have done that because of a result. That's not the way you should be reviewing your slates. You review your slate by looking at like, well, what do my projections say? What do my tools say? Go on the RotoGrinders projections. You want to aggregate projections, whatever. There was no projection set around the industry that had Cade Cunningham anywhere close to Tyrese Halliburton with Fox out. So if it's just a 1v1 conversation with nothing, no ownership, no what the rest of your lineup is, no nothing, no contest, no nothing. It's an easy decision. Do you want a player with a 6-point higher projection? There, done. Yes. Give me Halliburton. Don't review your slates based on what happened. Other than how did your opponents react that differed from what you expected. That's why the ownership matters. Oh, I thought this guy was going to be 3% owned. He ended up being 33% owned. Well, that's a big oversight. I played 90% of a guy thinking he was 3% owned. Turned out he was 8 million % owned. And so the leverage I thought I had in those lineups, gone. Bye-bye. They weren't balanced properly. That you could control. What happens in games, you can't control that. Like I said, I ran my 150. I ran a 150 with the actual ownership in there, and my lineups got worse. Like from a result standpoint. But those would have been my lineups. I would have done worse. Not that much worse. Not dramatically different. I would have had more combinations that didn't include Pels and Raptors. But while still having probably 4 from both those teams combined in every lineup anyway. As opposed to what happened yesterday, where if you jammed in 6, that was gold. That's the only difference. Because the Raptors ownership went up, and I didn't adjust as much as it did go up. Because it was one of those things where it's like right before, like Scotty Barnes is being out, like 15 minutes before lock. I have to manually adjust the ownership. I can't wait for anything. So it's like, what does that do? How much further does Siakam go up? How much further do these guys go up? And because it's so late, it's not only how much do they go up because of Barnes being out, but how many people are going to react and utilize this information. I mean, that's especially true after lock. But pre-lock, you have to do the same thing. Like the Pelicans information, like that was going to be fairly efficient. Right? That news came out at 1:30 in the afternoon. So it was like, oh, how many people are going to play Jose Alvarado? Plenty of people. Plenty. We have a 6-hour head start there. An hour before, Fred VanVleet and Scotty Barnes and that type of stuff, not so much. The De'Aaron Fox, maybe not so much. If you had that news early in the day, then it probably would have been much more efficient. I would have had better numbers. Okay. What's going on today? Is there a point of talking about today? I always say that. Is it James Harden slate again? They're playing. Well, we have 9 teams on back-to-backs. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck knowing what the hell's going on. Is that like, why even bother at this point? We had teams not on back-to-backs going nuts. What's going on with Utah? Look, we have 18 guys, right? Look at this Q list. We obviously have VanVleet, right? Jared Allen. We got obviously the Raptors guys. We got Hayward. We got some Memphis guys. Marcus Morris, Will Barton. And this is just on the injury report. This is the guys that are listed Q or P or whatever. But you know what's going to happen. 4:30, someone's going to start. This guy's resting. Was never on the injury report. No, nothing. Just look at Cameron Johnson here, right, for Phoenix. Let me reload this. It's like if you're building lineups now, I don't know why. You're gonna have to redo all your work anyway. All right, what's going on with Utah? What's their situation? Are all their guys going to be back? Like, what's going on with Conley and Bogdanovich, and right? We have fantasy points. Okay, I gotta delete these because this is from the other day when I plugged them in. Right. Okay, so we don't have to worry about the Jazz. If everyone's back, we don't even have to worry about the Jazz, right? Do we have anything else? Do I have anything else filled in accidentally? I don't think so. Even we go team by team, like Milwaukee doesn't look promising. Cleveland, that. Right, we got nothing here, right? Cleveland, Charlotte, meh. Indiana, meh. Clippers, meh. Orlando, Sacramento, okay. So the 7:00 games aren't that bad. Okay, so Sacramento, we'll have to wait to see about Fox, I guess. Although it seems like Halliburton and Holmes still project fairly well. Atlanta, meh. Knicks, garbage. Heat, Butler. I guess Butler's there. Denver, we got Jokic. So we got Harden for Brooklyn. Toronto, we have to see what's going on with them. Right? But it's still going to be a very, very small rotation for them. Chicago, meh. John Morant, 9,900. Are we playing him? Steven Adams, 4,500. Are we doing that? We have to see what the Q tags for Memphis are. San Antonio seems to project well. They may be a team. Look, all these guys. As of right now, as of 5:27 in the morning, the algorithmic projection. So you have to wait for some manual updates. Phoenix, we got Cameron Johnson, Bismack, Utah, with everyone back, kind of garbage. Mavs, not much. Portland, But who knows? I mean, that's why I said this is a what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 game slate. Tons of back-to-backs and everything. Oh, I mean, I didn't even play tonight. Look, you got 3 games at 7, 2 at 7:30, 2 at 8, 1 at 8:30, and 2 at 10. Now it's going to be the late swap city. If you're not going to be by your computer tonight, good luck. Right, with all these teams on back-to-backs. Who knows? Who knows who start? Who knows? That Toronto lineup, who knows what that's going to be? San Antonio, they played yesterday. See, at least the 7:00 games we'll get. But I mean, some of these, like, do I care that much about the Cleveland lineup? Right, but it's really Toronto, Chicago. Someone sits for them. Is DeRozan back? Who knows? Memphis at 8:30. The Utah guys, we may not know that. Oh, we may not know. We may not know stuff by 8:00. So if you're not going to be, hanging around, making swaps, doing all that stuff around that time, good luck. Good luck with that. I know we have Daniel Hutchins here, Nerdy Tender. A lot of times he likes playing the late slates, so he doesn't have to worry about the late swaps. Play the early turbo, or like that. Those the slates where it's just all at once, right? The two 8:00 games, turbo done, right? The early, the 7, that maybe the first 5 games, and that's it. And then the late 2 games set. Maybe he's the right mindset. So you don't have to worry. You only have to pretty much be at your computer for just by lock, and then you're done. Because all the games pretty much have started. But of course, they're smaller slates. And of course, a lot of times they're not necessarily the weakest of fields. You'll get most of the dumb money, the weakest players in the main slates. CG says Chalk was pretty good yesterday, huh? Yeah, but it's hard not to be when teams are playing 7-man rotations and they're all underpriced. How does a $3,700 guy not get there in 38 minutes as the primary ball handler and shooter? Like it's hard for them not to get there. Okay, looking in the YouTube chat. You got any questions? Got anything DFS strategy related? Feel free to type it in. Some of these will be short shows. I don't care. Hogloring says, I did that last night since I had plans earlier in the evening. I love that idea. Okay, about just playing late slates and turbo slates, especially for NBA. I get it. I'm the type of person where it's like, if I'm available, I'm available. If I'm not the whole night. Right? So it's like if I'm doing something at 8:30, like I just don't play NBA at all. Just like if I'm not going to be available from 6 o'clock Eastern to 10, like at any point, if that 4 hours isn't completely free, then I don't play. And that's me. I'm an all in or all out type of guy. Tomorrow night, by the way, if you're a member of RotoGrinders subscriber, which you can do by clicking on the link in the description, getting $10 off your first month. Right? You become an NBA single sport premium subscriber. You get access to all of our projections, all the lineup HQ tool, all of our content. Everything we got behind the paywall. We got a projections team that works. These things are updated probably 10 times a day, and they're always arguing there about assist rates or whatever. They're updating this constantly. And even after lock, obviously, when we get starting lineups and unexpected people sitting and starting and whatever. So if you join a RotoGrinders premium, you get access to that. But you also get access to our Discord. If you don't know where that is, that's rotogrinders.com/Discord. And I have a channel in there called Blender's Game Theory. So the same type of questions. If a lot of people watch this later, right? Hi, people that watch this later, or listen to it later on the podcast feed. They're never here in time to, 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern is not a good time for them to be here live to ask questions, right? That they want answered. So that's what I use that channel for. So if you want to talk about DFS strategy, ask me anything, feel free to go into that channel and I reply to everything. Okay. Maybe not in real time, but you can post your questions, and there also randomly is chat in there. But what I also do is group coaching calls. So we get on Zoom, right, as a group, and as long as you sign up on the form that we have there, which is basically just like, I want to talk via video or whatever, you get on Zoom, and it's like having a private conversation. People share their roto trackers, they share their screens and their setups and their Excel stuff, and they ask questions. And I typically an hour and a half. I do this about once a week in there, different times, just to hit. Some people are good at night, some people are good in the afternoon, some people are good at weekends. So the next one is tomorrow night, Thursday, at 8 o'clock Eastern. So if you want to join. Join RotoGrinders Premium and join the Blender's Game Theories channel, you'll see an alert posted there, a pinned message, and then you can sign up for my alerts in Discord. And then 5 minutes before, I send out saying, "Hey, we're starting soon." A lot of people have loved the Zoom calls, and you could just join. You could join the Zoom group coaching calls and not say anything, just like I'm just here listening and just here watching whatever. I basically go one by one. So a lot of times it's like maybe 3 or 4 people per call. And it's just like, hey, it's like they're on video, you're on audio, whatever. It's like we're having a private coaching call. Just you're doing it in front of like maybe anywhere from 20 to 60 other people watching you also. But nothing gets recorded. So these you can't consume it later. Once the call is done, it's done. There's nothing. You can't. Where do I find a recording of those? There aren't any. Okay. That's done for a reason, because if you're going to be on audio and video, a lot of people don't want to talk about their own personal play. They feel kind of self-aware that, oh, if this is going to be posted on YouTube and people are going to see me and whatever, you don't have to worry about any of that. So it's like whatever happens inside the Zoom call stays inside the Zoom call. So if you want to sign up for that, rotogrinders.com/premium, $10 off your first month. Click on the link in the description. And if you are a RotoGrinder subscriber, you could add yourself to the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. That'll direct you there. And say hi in the Blenders Game Theory channel. And all the information for that is posted there. But we'll see what happens tonight. Because there's no way I'm going over a 10-game slate with 9 back-to-backs, thinking that anything that's we're looking at right now is going to matter. I mean, I said that yesterday, and I didn't even expect there to be that much news, and there was news. Okay, there was just shenanigans on the 4-game slate on Monday night. It's a 4-game slate. What could happen? Well, everything could happen. So we review yesterday's slate. We talk about DFS strategy in general on this show. So tune in. We'll be doing NBA for the longest time, especially if baseball isn't back. Please reach a deal. MLB DFS is so much less stressful than NBA. But you could tune in later, 5:10 p.m. Eastern on this YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live with the Grinders Live. They'll be covering the NBA slate, and then 6:20 right after that for premium members only is Crunch Time with Andy Means and Kevin Roth, and yeah, we'll lead you right up until lock here, and I'm always be here 11 o'clock in the morning, as I always am. Right, I'm the guy that starts your day. Start your day with a review and answering your DFS strategy questions, as always, on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.